universe. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 139.
Yay, 139.
Yeah. What's our topic?
This is part 2, learning to communicate and manifest.
Very good.
So this is like the last 2 weeks we did the learning to communicate with the universe, and then we did manifesting your dream life. Mm-hmm. So we're going to split this episode and talk about both of those episodes and do like Q&A for each.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, before we do that, do you have anything from last week that you wanted to add or share?
I do. We actually got this morning, which is funny because we were going to record yesterday and didn't. And these things happen for a reason because we get new things, new ideas. So anyways, this is from Tanya. And she says, I loved this manifestation episode. One of my favorite parts was when you talked about the manifestation music. I went home after listening and made a playlist of the songs you talked about. The one I connected with the most was Whatever It Takes by Imagine Dragons. That's how I feel about the things I'm working towards. Excuse me. Frog. I want to be able to retire soon after 30 years with the post office. I want to move on, maybe start an Etsy shop to display and sell my sculptures. I'm doing everything I can think of to make it a reality. I have already applied some of the tips from last week to my routine. Wish me luck. Thanks again for all you two do. You are a lot of fun to listen to. I actually enjoy getting up on Monday mornings now because I listen to your podcast on the way to work. Merry Christmas, Tanya.
No, thanks, Tanya.
Thanks, Tanya. That was fun.
That was cool.
Appreciate that.
And I got a good feeling when she said that because, Etsy's kind of been something I've been thinking about too.
Maybe that's a sign for you.
But I just got a good feeling for her. I don't know why. Like, keep that up. Keep that. I mean, it's awesome that you've had that job, the post office job, for so long. But keep up that dream, and make it happen.
Absolutely, you can make it happen.
Absolutely. I mean, being a millionaire off of it doesn't mean success. It's just you being satisfied is where you'll know you're successful.
That's exactly right. Yep. Success isn't measured by money.
But I'd love to see some of your sculptures, too.
Yeah, me too, for sure. You should send over a link when you get that up.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, and then every week we answer 2 questions. So this week, the first question is from Lauren. She says, one of the things I have read about spiritual awakenings is you will begin letting go of resentment and hard feelings. I haven't been able to do this yet, and I'm not sure why. Any advice on how to let things go?
Who was this from?
This is from Lauren.
Lauren.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's kind of a heavy question. I've talked a little bit about a relationship that I had with a family member and that I held a lot of resentment towards. And I think when you realize that everything in life happens for a reason and everybody's put in your life as a part of your story and you actually create the story before you come here, it's a part of your soul contract. So if somebody does you wrong, if there's something that happens, you have to remember that this is a part of your soul contract together and that you're supposed to learn lessons from it. This is why, like, when people come to me and they have a relationship that I can see is going to end, I tell them, don't break up with them because you have this information. Let it go because things teach you lessons and you have to go with the process. And that, I think that with the spiritual awakening, that's probably one of the best things that I can say about this. What do you think?
Well, I think letting go is tough.
Yeah.
I think letting go of somebody that's done you wrong or trauma from the past is not easy.
No, it's not.
So it's not like I think that we have a magical answer for that because I think everybody's different and how long we take to get over something is different and how it affects us is different. And even though there's similarities, we're unique and we're different in that manner. But if you have a willingness to start with to let go, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But time is really of the essence.
That's true.
Because time is going to teach you so much about certain situations. A lot of that is hindsight and being able to look at it from a different perspective down the road.
Yes, it is a lot about your perception. And when you have an incident with somebody maybe and it's fresh, time changes it. Time changes how you look at that situation. And that for me has been one of the things that I've done is look back on any situation that I may hold against somebody else and say, well, what was my part? Did they deserve to have all of this on their shoulders? No, because I played my part and I did this wrong and learn from that and change from that. And that's a part of the spiritual awakening is learning that. And it does take time.
Right.
I really try at this point to not hold on to any grudges. I can't think of anybody on this planet that if they came up to me, I would tell them to get out of my face because I hate them.
Yeah, I don't think I do either.
No, because I feel like anybody that's crossed my path, anybody that's in my story is here for a reason. And we decided this reason together. We're all soul family, those people that are in your lives, So letting go of the resentment too, it makes you feel different about yourself. It makes you realize that you have this within you to let go and to forgive. And it's like a different kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a power almost that you feel that you have, that you can conquer anything.
Right.
Anything.
You've been freed from a weight, too.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So I hope that answers your question, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren.
Little. And then Chanel asked this question. She said, can a spirit pretend to be your guide, but really be a false guide? For example, with pendulums, how do you know that it's your guide talking to you? So the first thing I want to say about this is that a spirit wouldn't want to be your guide to hurt you. If somebody came in and tried to help you, if a spirit came in and, helped you with that pendulum, they're there to help you. They're not there to impersonate anybody. I get a lot of messages, and honestly, most of the time, well, I don't want to say most of the time, but if they're coming from my mom, that I know. If they're coming from somebody else, it may take me a little while to figure out who it's coming from. It may not be instantaneous, but I know that any spirit that's coming in to show me something, to teach me something, to help me with something, that they're here for good purpose. As far as a pendulum goes, I don't use them a lot. I used to, but I find them to be very inaccurate. My own abilities are more accurate, I think, because I think we get in our own heads and we can block these things. So, if you don't know what a pendulum is, it's a crystal on like a chain, like a very thin chain, and you hold on to it and you ask questions. And you can set okay, if it turns clockwise, then it's yes. If it turns counterclockwise, it's no. You can also use this with Ouija boards or put paper and write things on it and, see where the pendulum goes to. I don't really know where that information comes from. I'm assuming it comes from your higher self. It comes from your psychic abilities, but you have to be connected just like anything else. So if somebody comes up to me on the street and says, hey, I'm pregnant. Am I going to have a boy or a girl? And I say, boy, I have a 50-50 chance, but I haven't tapped into my abilities because I'm just like that. It takes a second to tap into the abilities. So if you override the power of that pendulum, you're doing it to yourself. You can get a false answer because you're not connected, is my feeling on it. But as far as a false guide, I don't see any reason why they would want to do that.
Right.
They're only here for good.
I try to think of it in this terms. If there's, let's just say, 1 trillion souls and 7 billion of them are on the earth in bodies. And you're asking this question with a pendulum. Are those remaining souls in heaven, that means they're all free game to interrupt.
Right.
And, disturb what you're doing? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's the one that you're asking, that you're seeking, is the one that you're going to connect with.
Yeah.
There are laws. Just like in our world, there's laws of physics and there's laws, civil laws.
Yeah.
And things like that. Well, there's laws in the universe, and then there's laws on the other side.
Yeah.
And I don't think that certain things like that are allowed. That would mean that everybody that's trying to make a connection with a spirit on the other side has the potential of being interrupted by 100,000 million other souls.
They always have good intentions. Yeah. That's really the best thing to, in this kind of question and situation that I can say, is they always have good intentions. Yeah. They're not out to harm you. No. So if another spirit does come in to try and give you advice, then they're trying to help you. Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that answers Chanel's question.
Thanks, Chanel.
Thank you both, Chanel and Lauren. And then we do a reading every week. So let's talk to a spirit, shall we?
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of spirits today. Today's been a busy day. So
has it?
Yeah. So, yes, we're going to have a good reading here, I think. Right. Okay. So this is for Kathy. She says, this is my stepdad, Lloyd. He passed December 17th, 2019, almost 2 years ago. We just got a call from the university that his ashes are ready to be picked up as he donated his body to science, but have never connected with him since he passed, wondering if he is with my mom and if he has any messages. Okay. You want to meet Lloyd? This is Lloyd.
Hi, Lloyd.
That's really cool, Lloyd, that you donated your body to science. I always joke that I want to leave my brain to science because there's some stuff going on in there, I think, with the psychic abilities and everything. Yeah. Like, I think that, anyways, that's for another time. So let's talk to Lloyd. Lloyd has a very good sense of humor, and he's very happy to be here.
He looks happy in the picture.
He is happy in the picture. And I feel like this was just generally the way that he was in life. Like, in this picture, he has I can't remember what those are called. Cannula? Whatever it is, you put in your nose and it gives you the oxygen, right? So that you can go out and everything. And so he's out, and there's like a lake behind him and trees and stuff. And he's very happy.
He looks happy to be out.
Yeah, he looks very happy to be out. But I feel like this was his demeanor a lot of times. He just was a happy guy. He liked to have fun. He liked to be silly. He didn't take life too seriously. And he feels like one of the reasons that he lived such a long life is because he didn't take life so seriously. Because he didn't worry the way a lot of people do. He didn't give himself the stress and the anxiety. And, we all have some of it. It's not like his life was stress-free by any means. But he didn't sweat the small stuff. That's exactly what he's saying. Didn't sweat the small stuff. And none of us should either. Yeah. But you know what? It's a lot easier for the spirits to say. Uh-huh. It's hard when you're human. So let's see. What did you... So you really didn't ask any questions. So let's see what he has to say, if anything in particular. I'm wondering if he is with mom. He's with a lot of people. He actually has a lot of family, but also a lot of friends. And so he must have been in the military. This happens a lot with the military personnel, is that I see I can't remember what they're called, but the guys that you're with. Right.
Your company.
Yeah, I know there's a word for it, but I don't know what it is. Anyways, he's with them. And I want to say that he was a Marine because it looks like sailors, and they're drinking in a pub. So I'm assuming that this is what they did when they, had off time together. And obviously in heaven, they're not drinking beer, but they show me these things as to show that that's what they did in life. But he is with these men, and he is having lots of fun with them. He's just not really drinking beer anymore. That's all. As far as mom, yes. Dad is there as well. There's a lot of people here. A lot of people. He was a very friendly type of person, so he has a lot of friends around him, not just these guys from the military, but like high school, I feel like he was very popular. There's just lots of people around him. I don't know that I've seen this many spirits around one spirit in a while. Yeah, so very popular man. Loved life. So let's see if he has any messages, though, for Kathy. So Kathy, he's telling me that you're opening yourself up more and more to the spirit world, and that you're hearing things more and more. And he is one of the voices that you hear. Maybe not one as often, because you have, your dad and your mom there and such, but he does give you tips about things. And he says, you can always tell with these tips, and I love this. They do this for me all the time. You can tell where the tips are coming from by, like, the activity that you're doing. So, like, for example, and this may seem really weird to some people, but your ex-mother-in-law helps me with cooking. Like, she gives me ideas to help me cook for Marina because Marina likes certain things.
Right.
And so she's taught me how to use different spices and stuff. So if you have, like, if there's something that he liked to do and then you're doing it and you hear these tips, those are coming from him, most likely, is what he's saying.
Cool.
So he gives little tips along the way. But you're opening this up more and more, so you're going to hear those tips more and more. There's going to be a lot more coincidences, not really coincidences, that are going to continue happening to you. And he just wants you to know that he is involved with those. And he does see you, and that he always... Okay, hold on. Let's let the message come in. He never thought of you as a stepchild. He always looked at you as his own. He wanted you to feel like you were his own, and that you could ask him, and let's see, what is he trying to say? That anything that a natural father, a biological father would do for their child, he would do for you. And he always wanted you to feel that way. So he always tried to make you feel like he was just as much of a father figure as your father. Not that he was trying to take over any of that responsibility or anything like that. He just wanted to make sure that you knew that he loved you just as much as he would if you were his biological child. And you know what? That I think is something that we should accept more and more. Yeah. Because really the biological is just a small part of it. Our soul family is our soul family, and that's your steps, your halves, your friends.
Love is love.
Love is love. And so biological doesn't really matter, really, So that's what he's trying to say. So that was a nice message.
Very cool.
Thank you, Lloyd, for that.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Yes. So that is... no, wait. I got one more thing. One more very exciting thing.
Oh.
Okay. So I've talked about before that I have a reading group on Facebook. Mm-hmm. But it started off as being like a reading group where I had a lot of different approved readers. But it's come to the point where basically I'm the one that's doing like 99.9999% of these readings. So today I changed the name of the group. And I wanted to give it because I think this will help people to find it better.
Cool.
The name is Free Pet and Psychic Medium Readings by Samantha Jones. Boom.
Very good.
Yeah. I'm excited about this because I still have Chelsea and Nisha as approved readers, and they'll still come in, hopefully occasionally and read. But now that this is just my group, I can do kind of what I want with it and do more teaching. I would like to do more of that, helping people to learn more how to develop their abilities, also posting, more positive, like motivational stuff, that kind of thing. So come and join us.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good.
So that's officially it.
All right. Well, there we have it. Okay, then episode 139, part 2 of Learning to Communicate and Manifest.
So those last 2 episodes were a lot of fun, and we got a lot of good comments and questions about them. And really, I felt like we didn't even scratch the surface with a lot of things. So like I said, the remainder of this episode, we're going to split the time and talk about the learning to communicate with the universe and then manifesting your dream life. A lot of it does kind of go together because when it comes to manifestation, you really need to look at the signs and know how to talk to the universe to really understand how they're helping you with your manifestations. So It does go together. So this is basically tying up the loose ends of those last 2 episodes.
Cool.
Let's see. Okay, so, all right, where am I going to start? Let's just go straight into that episode, the learning the language of the universe. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I really wanted to mention that I forgot to mention in that episode is that a lot of times things happen in threes. So, for example, sometimes I'll hear a song that is a trigger song that maybe is supposed to tell me something because I have songs that are set for certain things, and I'll only hear it once. If I only hear it once, I don't really react to it. Now, if it's a regular song, like a mom song, then I always take it. But if it's something, I'm going to give you an example in a minute. If it's something that's like a trigger song, if I hear it once, I don't really take it. If I hear it twice, it puts the red flag up a little bit. And this is in one day. So I kind of split it up per day. So if I hear it once, nothing. Twice, it's a warning. 3 times, it means something's coming. And to listen to it. An example that I would like to give here, and it is a little bit of a warning for our friends in the Southern California area, is that a few years ago I was told that we were going to have an earthquake when we moved into this house. That, the house we were in then, I didn't need to worry about it, no earthquake then, but we would need to earthquake-proof this house, which we have done for the most part. But I told my mom and my guides that I wanted warning that this earthquake was coming. I don't want to be caught off guard because I sense them when they're coming. So I wanted warning like days, weeks, months, whatever they wanted to start giving me. And that there were different signs. And one of those signs is the song Staying Alive. Because the last earthquake that we had, that was one of the ways they were trying to get through to us that it was coming. Right. They were playing it, and I kept saying it to you, remember? Why am I hearing Staying Alive all the time? But in retrospect, I realized they were trying to tell us that's an earthquake song.
Well, because it says, feel the city shaking and everybody's breaking, staying alive.
Exactly.
And I never noticed that. I noticed it, but I never really put that connotation together. But I was like, whoa. Yeah. It actually says the city's shaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't either until after the earthquake. And then it hit me because I stopped hearing it. Because once the situation happens, then it stops. So I use that as an earthquake song. It is a trending song on TikTok, so sometimes I'll hear it multiple times, and I don't really take it so much for that because I know it is trending. However, the other day, my friend Shauna, sent me Staying Alive, a video of the Bee Gees on TikTok, and she's like, I don't know why I'm sending this to you. I just felt you needed to see it. And then sent a couple other TikToks, and then sent another Staying Alive with the Bee Gees. And she's like, I really don't know. And so I explained to her, I was like, okay, this is my earthquake song. So when you have that feeling, send it to me because then that will give me a warning. I didn't feel that night that there was any warning for an earthquake. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't hearing anything else. So I didn't worry about it. I just realized that this is maybe a way that they are triggering that it's time to start preparing for this earthquake. Right. But also showing me that other people are going to give me these signs and to watch out for them. That night, I had a dream about the earthquake. And I don't have a lot of dreams that I remember, and this one was definitely a premonition dream. And so I don't know if it's going to go down exactly the way I see it, but I saw myself in the garage with all 3 dogs when it started, and you're in the house doing art, and Marina's at school. And so I saw this in the dream, and it was very, very real. And so I'm taking it seriously now. Right. So, I'm not saying that there's going to be a big destructive earthquake today. What I'm saying is that we're going to prepare because the universe is telling us to prepare, and you can set whatever you want with them to let you know. Another song that they used it when COVID was coming in, and I didn't get it. It's the end of the world as you know it. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell is this supposed to mean? Great. Right? And then when COVID hit, I was like, oh, it really was. Yeah. It really, really was.
And the verbiage is almost perfect. Yeah.
So I've asked for that with the earthquake as well, which I haven't started receiving yet, because the first line is something that's great. It starts with an earthquake or something. So that's another one that I've said. So I know when these things start happening, that I need to get more and more prepared. And if I hear Staying Alive 3 times in one day, as well as, anything else, I might go on TikTok and they start talking about earthquakes. These things are things that they want us to look out for, but not just one, multiples. That's why I brought up the 3, because if I was just like, oh my God, I heard Staying Alive.
Worry yourself over every time you see or hear something.
Exactly. You have to have like a meter, and so that's my rule of 3. And so that's kind of helped me. Because we'll hear songs sometimes in the car. There's one in particular that we hear in the air tonight. And every time, you're like, uh-oh. Like, it's just once. It's just once. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the song, but now that it comes on, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. You can set your meanings to your songs. So, so that's definitely something that to keep an eye out for, those 3s, and setting your own language like that.
Yeah. Okay. That's great.
Yeah, I thought so. So, and then we had a question. We have a few questions from listeners. One of them was, what do you feel is the best way to communicate with your guides? I don't think there's one way. Like,
I don't know, yeah.
It's really, like, as you can see, it's kind of a combination. Like, as far as I was saying with the songs and with, you know, the other warnings, the dreams, I feel like they like to put together a combination of things for us so that we feel comfortable in knowing that it's them.
Yeah.
So that's why I've given all of these things that you can look for, because then you can use them in any kind of sequence and learn how to put them together. So me answering this question, I think that it's a combination of everything. It's learning what these signs mean, keeping a log of them, and learning them. And that takes time. And that can be so frustrating because everybody wants right now. But I'll tell you, it doesn't come right now. And I'm still learning. And you're starting to just notice new things too now, more and more. So we continue to go through this.
Yeah, I don't set nearly a lot of like what you do. And I'm thinking back of when I have, and it's happened, and it's like, whoa. But I honestly don't. I don't set a lot of things. I think I find myself in moments, and they're usually sort of meditative things, whether it's painting or music or something. I find myself getting a lot of communication that way, like direct communication. But the songs, for sure. And numbers, oh my God.
Yeah. And nature. Yeah. We just know, like, when we start seeing a lot of stuff, that there's something's coming, you know, and not bad. Like, if they're warning us of something bad, they'll give something bad, you know, like the staying alive or whatever. But really, when there's good things coming, they'll start showing you all of these signs, the numbers, all the time.
Yeah.
One of the things, you know, that people I know that they get worried about is, what does all of this mean? What do these synchronicities mean? There's the Miley, what does it mean? Have you seen that? What does it mean? Yeah. No, I get it, because I was like that at first too, that I was like, I'm seeing all these numbers and I worried that they're bad. And, you know, what does it mean? Really, what does it mean? But a lot of times it doesn't mean anything. So not anything, but it's just a hello.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you're doing good.
Right.
So I had an example here of something that happened to me yesterday. So I went to do some work in my group, and this happens to be a lot where there's numbers. So I had 13 pending posts. These are all my numbers, okay? 13 pending posts, 22 pending members. The one that I was looking at that time when this caught my eye had requested to join 11 hours ago. And that person was a member of 28 groups. These are all numbers that I relate to. Yeah. And it was 952, and 52 is my mom's birth year. So I do take that as well. So when you see something like this, a lot of people might panic and be like, oh, what does this mean? Or overwhelmed, like, how do I dissect this? But for me, I take it as, you're doing good. This is what you're supposed to be doing. The message is always going to be different. But I really do try and make people understand that this is positive. Right. These are really positive, especially when they come out of nowhere and you're like, whoa, numbers everywhere, songs. They're positive. They want you to know they're around you.
And when you open your mind to it, you can't help but see it from then on, you know, and that was brought to my attention probably, now 4, 5, 6 years ago, that somebody said, oh, you ever notice like synchronicities in numbers? And, you know, and I was like, really? That's a thing?
Yeah.
And from that day, it's never stopped.
Yeah.
It's like, but you have to want to see it. You have to open your mind to realize, like, seriously, they're communicating via numbers and song and lyrics. And, well, I thought, well, why wouldn't they? How can they? They don't have a body. They don't have a telephone.
Right.
They can't just call us up and talk to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have to have other ways.
Yeah. And you can use this too, like if you have a question, okay? Then I was going to talk about what happened with my car yesterday. So let's talk about my car. Well, let's go back to when I bought my car. I was looking for a car, but I don't like the whole process of buying a car. And I was like, I really don't want to do this. So there was a part of me that was like, no, I'm just going to put money into my car, fix it up, and not get a new one. But I kept hearing my dad's songs, and he worked on cars and worked for like different car places. And so I kept feeling this pull, you know, to go and buy the car. And everything along the way of buying this car, it was like they were putting it in front of me, showing me where to go. The day I bought the car, I honestly didn't even know where I was going.
I remember you calling me when you were driving. Like, where are you? I don't know.
No, it really was. It was, you know what? Now in my spiritual journey, it would be different. I really thought I was going crazy that day because I'm like, I'm just going to drive to Thousand Oaks and drive around the car lots, and wherever I'm told to go is where I'm going to go. But the crazier part about this is that I had always wanted a Volkswagen. Always. And I never, for whatever reason, thought I would get one. Not like they're expensive cars, but like, I don't know. Some people said, they're not really great cars or whatever. And I hadn't really seen one that I liked so much after they took the one I wanted, the model, away. So I ended up at the VW lot and fell in love with this car that I found. It's a Tiguan. And everything, it went smoothly. Everything, like my numbers were on the mileage and, the miles per gallon, the price, the VIN. My numbers were all over this car. If I would have walked away from it, I would have been a fool because it was all right in front of me. So you can, use those for that type of thing, okay? What I was going to talk about with my car the other day, what happened was that I was driving, I was getting ready to leave, and I start backing out of the driveway, and my brakes are doing weird things, right? And I was like, well, it is cold, I'm not going to worry too much about it, I'll let it go. And then I was out driving more, and I felt like one of my tires was doing something weird, And I thought, well, maybe I should take it in, and I was going to come home and tell you, and then it stopped doing it, and I totally forgot about it. Well, the next morning, I open my email, and there's an email from Volkswagen about, our techs are available for you all the time, or whatever it said. And I open it up, and it's a way to schedule an appointment. And I went back through all the emails I've ever received from Volkswagen, and I've never received that email. So to me, this was a sign of I should take my car in. There's a reason why. And then we got in my car yesterday, and there's a problem with the tire. The pressure thing came on, right? But you're like, well, we can just go fill it up. But I know it needs to go in because that's what they were telling me. So they're trying with these types of signs, like listen to them. They're trying to put these things in front of us.
Right. It's not just life's aggravation.
Right. Exactly.
There's actually direction sometimes.
There's a lot of direction, and you. I think what I was getting to in the beginning is that you can set certain things. And like, for example, I have dad songs and I have mom songs. And so when I was going to buy that car, I said, okay, if I'm supposed to continue looking for a car, I want to hear dad songs. And if I'm supposed to give up, I want to hear mom songs. And it was one dad song after the other. So I knew. Yeah. And you can do that with anything. I do that with so much stuff. With really anything that will help you along your way if you're confused. And you know what? Sometimes it can confuse you more. Like if you need an answer to a question and you're not clear about your question, you may get more confused. So you may have to like really get down specifically of like, what is the answer that you need? Yes or no, Right. But they really can help you so much that way. Yeah. I have
it reminded me of the guitar pick, the green guitar pick thing that I pulled out of my rear, and you were like, really?
Yeah.
Green? You're going to be that specific?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the first thing that popped into my head. It was like, I know it's something I'll see. It'll be around because there's other musicians around me and people. But the thing was, is I picked green because I never saw anybody around us in the band playing that color pick.
Right.
And sure enough, as soon as I set that, one of the guys decided to start using a different brand, and I started finding green picks everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it.
And I was asking whether a very close friend of mine, Rob, who passed away, if he was heavily involved in what was going on to make sure that this wasn't going to just fizzle away. And there was my answer.
Yeah. And I don't know if you still see those, but for a while it was like so much. I was seeing them on Facebook. I even bought you, it was jade, I think, whatever the green crystal is, a guitar pick because it came up on my Facebook. It was like, here's a crystal green guitar pick for you that just popped up on my Facebook. Yeah. These are the way that they will help you and the ways that they'll deliver messages. And it is really wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. We have so many stories about this kind of stuff. Yeah. We should write them down because really it's like the way that they communicate. you really can get the answer to any question that you want. I can't remember what I was working on my book, and I was thinking about something, and I was thinking about the wrong person. And I went on TikTok. TikTok gives me a lot of stuff. You don't even know. I went on TikTok, and the first thing that popped up was a psychic medium that said, it's not who you think it is. And I wish I could remember what it was that I was writing about. But I went, oh my gosh, they're right. They're giving me this tip of it's not who I thought it was. And it like totally clicked in my head. It made perfect sense. But if you listen, if you believe, and that's where it's not a coincidence comes in, a believing. Like, I could have just played that off of, oh, well, anybody could have that kind of message. It's not who you think it is.
Yeah.
But I knew that was a message from them letting me know I was going the wrong direction with this. And they're trying to redirect me.
Yeah. It's incredible.
The stories go on and on and on. So let's move on.
Do it.
To manifesting your dream life, because I do have a lot of questions on this from our listeners, and there was a lot that was left untalked about. So let's do it.
Cool.
One of the things is what can and can't be manifested. That's a good question, huh? So I would love to say that anything could be manifested, but that's really not the case. Right. If it's not meant to happen and it's not meant for you, or it's completely out of the universe's control, then you can't be manifested. We lost power the night before Thanksgiving. And I have these powers, and I love them, and I use them, and they're energy powers. And sometimes I could possibly make the power come back on. And I know that may sound crazy, but sometimes it has worked. So I laid in bed and I was like, come on, power. You can do it. Come on, universe. Give us our power back. Well, power company cut it off because the winds were so bad, and they do that in California to try and prevent wildfire. No matter how much I would have sat in bed that night and tried to manifest for the power to come back on, it wasn't going to happen until it was safe for it to happen. Right. And so, we went like 26 hours without power all of Thanksgiving. And but it is what it is. Can't change it. Maybe there was a reason that happened, and I don't know. Maybe there is. I haven't really thought about it. But sometimes those things happen and you can't change them because something's coming with it. Something's happening. Maybe there was a conversation that wouldn't have happened unless the power went out. That's just an example. Right. But these things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they are not controllable.
And the other part about that is that if you were sitting there because it's inconveniencing you to be without power, with no regard for the safety or life of others, right there you've got to look at where's the purity of what you're asking for, what you're trying to manifest.
That is so true.
If it's coming from a completely self-centered, selfish place, odds are you're not going to get it.
Yes.
Okay? Just like if you're like, oh, give me $1 million by next week. What are you planning to do with that $1 million, first and foremost?
What'd you do to earn it?
If you had some sort of scheme or plan in your mind that was like, I want to create this foundation, or but there was something really behind it, then I could see it possible.
Yeah.
But if it's out of sure selfish, self-centered nature of I, me, mine,
yes,
gimme, then no.
Yes. And when I think about those things, like the power being out wasn't just an inconvenience to me. It was an inconvenience to the whole neighborhood. Mm-hmm. We luckily weren't going to eat Thanksgiving dinner at home, but all these people that were, I felt so bad for them. And so I was even trying to manifest for them, please, but safety has to override what we want. It just does. And so it just had to be that way. Mm-hmm. And it's a bummer, but it is what it is. So sometimes you can't manifest. You're not going to be able, I don't want to say you're not going to be able to manifest love, but you're not going to be able to manifest a long-term healthy relationship with the right person if they're not meant for you. Right. It's just not going to happen. No. So, you can try. And I did that. I had done that in the past where I was like, come on, Mom, bring me this person. I want to date them, and then you start dating them and you're like, never mind. But you think at the time you're manifesting this person and this is what you want. And that's a whole other thing is like sometimes you may think that right now that manifestation is what you want, you know, but the universe knows better. It knows your story. Yeah. And so it knows you're not supposed to be with that person. And so, okay, well, we'll satisfy you for a little while by giving you the person and maybe showing you why they're wrong for you. Yeah. You know? That's how the universe teaches us. Everything that happens to us happens for a reason. It really does. That's what we're going to talk about next week, actually.
Very cool.
Yeah. But it really does. And so when these things happen, when you can't manifest a certain thing, you have to ask why. Mm-hmm. Is it just not meant for me? And then try and do something else. Redirect it. Manifest something else. Manifest it. Try a different way, a different route.
Right.
You know. But if it's not meant for you, it's not going to be. It's just not.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. We had talked very briefly last week about manifesting happiness. And I said I wanted to return to this. Because, think about this for a second. Manifesting happiness. Who is the person that is in control of your happiness? Who's the one person that has that control? Yeah. You do. So when you want to manifest happiness, you're really just manifesting for your thoughts to change. For good things, good things to come to you. But happiness does not come from stuff. Happiness comes from peace. It comes from being where you're supposed to be in your life and being with the people you're supposed to be with. And that's what the universe wants to bring you. Peace of mind is a totally different thing. I totally believe that you can manifest peace of mind, but it comes with changing your mindset.
Right. It doesn't mean that you can't achieve that giant mansion on the hill.
Yeah.
That CEO job, or owning your own bakery, whatever it is. It doesn't mean you can't.
Right.
But I think the sooner you realize that those are objects, those are activities, they aren't you.
Right.
So what do you do in your times of I'm bored or I'm lonely?
Yeah.
You know, that's where you have to understand that these things that you achieve in your life, they're nothing more than achievements.
Yeah.
They're a thought that popped into your head and you made it come to life.
Right.
You made it happen. But it should not determine what type of person we are.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so if you're not a CEO, you shouldn't walk around being a miserable son of a gun.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Find your place.
Yeah, exactly.
And embrace it. And then wherever you go from there, it's just kind of icing on the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like ultimately everything that I'm manifesting, my main manifestation goal is happiness. It really is. I'm not that I'm not happy, because I am, but I think that to be truly happy with your life and with yourself, there's things you have to let go of, like worry and fear of the future or whatever. And so those are the things that I'm trying to learn to get past so that I can have that fulfillment of happiness and peace.
Right.
You know, I guess happiness is different to everybody, but it is really just about changing your mindset and, you know, finding happiness within yourself.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Questions that we have. One of them is, how quickly can a manifestation happen? A manifestation can happen like that. It really can. If you need something and the universe knows you need it now, you could manifest it now. It has to be something small, though. You know, there's been times. Here's a great example. Last week, I had this bird groom, and it was like 45-minute drive, right? And I really, really, really didn't want to go, but I was going to go. You know, it's my job. I'm going to go do it, right? And I didn't really ask the universe, but I guess in a way I was kind of manifesting a way out. Not that I didn't want to do it at all. I just didn't feel like doing it that day. And lo and behold, the lady messages me and says, I'm not feeling well. Can we reschedule for next week? It's just small things like that, that if there really is a reason, you know, or whatever, the universe will give it to you. If you really want it, the universe will give it to you. If it's not going to disrupt anything, or, you know, and you're working hard, like I work really hard. So I wanted that day, you know? and they let me have it. So those things can absolutely be manifested instantly, really quickly.
Yeah.
But if you really are looking at the deeper ones, you know, those take time. Mm-hmm. They take time. Let's see. Other questions. How much do your thoughts affect the outcome of your manifestations?
A lot.
Don't they? Not maybe in the way that you think. But one of the things that you can do is hold yourself back with your thoughts while you're manifesting.
Right. Well, if you're going into it, let's say you're like, oh, I really want this position at work. And you're going about this, but somewhere in the back of your mind, you're telling yourself, this is baloney. Mm-hmm. This isn't going to work.
Right.
You're right there. You're affecting it. Mm-hmm. You're putting out the opposite energy of what it is you're seeking.
Right.
So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And you're right. I was trying to think of like, say you're asking for something and then you're starting to maybe think about some of the headaches that might bring.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So then those seem compounded.
Right.
When they do occur. Mm-hmm. Because you put so much focus on thinking about those incidences.
Right.
Like, take, for example, Betty. Mm-hmm. We're searching for her for a while.
Yeah.
Before. I mean, we knew she was coming, and once we came here, it was like, okay, now we're kind of looking for her.
Yeah.
And we could have used every idea in our mind of how this was going to hinder our family.
Yes.
As opposed to helping her.
Exactly, yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right. So you have to look at it positively. And you know what? I didn't look at any of the negativity of adopting a senior dog that we don't know anything about. I didn't when I was manifesting that. I did say to you a couple times I wasn't sure because 2 was already so overwhelming.
Right.
But I really tried every time that like something negative would come to me, like what if she doesn't get along with the dogs, whatever. I would just stop, because that's just going to hinder things.
Right.
I really think that we can slow down our process by thinking negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Once you let go of those negative thoughts and let the universe do its job, it will bring things to you easier. So I absolutely believe that.
And if you're wondering, how do I know the difference? Well, I'll tell you this. The negative thoughts aren't coming from the other side.
No, they're not.
They don't. Mm-mm. They're not telling you, unless they're telling you, like trying to speak reason in your mind.
Yeah.
For something that, do you sure you want to do that? That might happen,
Right.
Something like that, but not something that would be right out of the gate. So I just think that that's a good way to sort of your own detector of where are these coming from.
Right.
Most of the time, it's our own pride and our own ego that those are the negative messages. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that from them.
Yeah, not at all. Mm-mm. No, nothing that they say will be ego-based at all. Sure. Okay. Let's see. Next question we have. Can you manifest negative? I guess you can.
Let's face it. I see people, and this just in terms of like social media, people that I see that are sharing a multitude of negative things. I kind of tend to see them experiencing more negative things.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I don't want people to think, though, that if they are thinking negative thoughts, that bad things are going to happen to them.
No.
I'm going to give you an example. I took care of my grandmother for the last 7 years of her life, and for the first, 3 or 4 of those, all I could think about is how she was going to die, when she was going to die, because that was my job. So not only would I be losing my grandmother, but I would be losing my job. And I stressed and stressed and stressed. My grandma lived for 7 years until I was ready to let her go. So I didn't negatively impact that at all with my worrying. So I don't want people to think that, like, if they worry about their loved ones dying, that it's going to kill them, because that's not what happens. The universe has a way of playing things out. But what you are doing is you are hindering your happiness by thinking those things. Looking back now, I didn't need to worry about all of that. Right. It played out exactly how it was supposed to. And by the time that my grandma passed, we were all ready for her to go, including her. She was just done, you know. It was a blessing. But the universe, it knows how to work those things. So, like I said before, I think you can slow things down. But as far as things like this, like, I don't think that you can, you know, kill somebody with your thoughts or make, you know, an accident happen. I don't want people to think that. No. But if you have constant negative thoughts, your manifestations are not going to come to you as easily, if at all.
If you're trying to manifest things like that, then I have a feeling that more negative things are going to happen to you than the person that's not.
Yeah.
And that's karma.
Yeah.
So bad things happen to everybody.
Yeah.
There's not a certain demographic of people that bad things happen to only.
Yeah.
It's part of this simulation. It's part of this experience that we're supposed to experience bountiful joy and sadness and loss and heartbreak and pride.
Yes.
And we're supposed to experience all of that.
Yep.
It's what we do with it. And if we do listen closely and communicate with the other side in the universe in regards to this, we can hear what to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely we can.
But we have to not let these things completely uproot us.
Yeah.
Take them as experience.
Yes. Absolutely. It's all a part of our journey. It's a part of our soul's journey.
It's not just happening to you. Mm-hmm. It's happening to all of us.
All of us, yep. Absolutely. One of the questions I got asked multiple times this week was, what's the best method? How do you manifest? And you know what? For me, like, I don't think you need a ritual. I really don't. You can do whatever you want. If you have a ritual, do it. Go for it. For me, the best way that I find to manifest is I put out what I want, and then I go and do good. Mm-hmm. I go and I help people selflessly, and that brings good. Even in my life, changing myself, I can manifest things by bettering myself. And I'll give you an example for that, is that Christmas is a really hard time for me. I'm not really a big Christmas person because I don't really have, you know, my blood family. And it takes me back to when I was a kid and there were so many people around, and now all those people are gone, and it makes me depressed. And I go through this every single year. But this year my mom was like, you just moved into your new home. And, you know, Marina is 16 and a half. And so technically there's only 2 Christmases left before she goes to college. And we don't know that she's going to come home for Christmas.
Right.
So my mom's like, enjoy these last 2 Christmases, you know, stop doing the things that you're doing and start doing these things that we suggest that you're doing, you know. This was a battle for myself. And I was like, okay, I can do that. But I know this is going to sound bad. I'm not the type to, like, really care about getting gifts. Like, I'm way more of a giver. But my mom was always, like, a huge giver for Christmas. And so I was like, okay. I'm like, but this is the one time that I'm going to ask for something in return. I'm going to ask for you to give me a Christmas gift. If I'm going to go through all this and, you know, these feelings that come up every year, give me a Christmas gift. And so I said to her, what are you going to get me for Christmas? And I made these changes. We did the Christmas tree. We did lights. We had a great time. We've been watching Christmas movies. 2 days after this, one of my best friends messages me and says, hey, how'd you like to go to a Kings game on the 22nd? I have really good seats and the ticket is free.
That's a cool present.
Mm-hmm. And that was, you can say it's a coincidence, but it's not. It's not a coincidence. That was a gift.
You asked.
Yep, that was a gift from my mom for doing what she asked me to do, for making the changes. When we make the changes in ourselves, they love to see that. So we're kind of being, like, paid for a job well done, paid for changing ourselves too. So you'll notice that, you know, if you make those changes, if you handle a situation differently, they reward you.
Right.
If, like, let's say that you used to handle a situation, you'd fly off the handle, and now you have that same situation in front of you and you don't, they'll give you a manifestation or a reward.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get things I don't even ask for, just as rewards of saying that was a really good job. Like, good job. Good for doing that.
Yeah.
They want to give us these things, but we have to do good for them. So,
and believe that they will.
Yes, that too. So, when you ask me what is the best way to manifest, it's to do it selflessly, in my opinion. It's to put out the intention for what you want and then go and help people and just and help yourself and do what the universe asks of you. You know, change those things like I had to do for myself. And they really will bring you what you want. It happens a lot quicker and deeper than you probably realize, you know?
Yeah, right.
I mean, the stories, like, you're just hearing like a snippet of our stories.
Yeah.
We have so many of things that we've manifested and things that the universe has gifted us and, you know, for the things that we do, for a job well done, for making the changes, for continuing on the journey. Because if you're helping the universe too, you know, whatever way you are, using your gift, like you do art and music, and that is helping people because that is something that is divine. The universe pays you for that. The universe pays me for my job. So, like, when I have my free reading group, I don't get paid to do those. Right. But I'll tell you what, the universe sure does pay me. Yeah. It sure does.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. So, let's see. So, I have anything else on here that's important that we get to? One more thing. Okay. How to know the difference between roadblocks and manifesting wrong. I think a roadblock will be pretty clear.
Yeah.
Manifesting something wrong, if you like just change your wording or whatever, I guess, and you try again. But I would say that, you know, if you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing to manifest something and it's just not happening and you're seeing things that might be roadblocks, they're probably roadblocks. Yeah.
Well, last night I had one when we were going to record. We had some technical difficulties. Yeah. And I was going to do a revert back to restore the system to a previous point so I could just continue on and worry about updates and all that later because I was having some issues. And I did the whole revert back. It probably ran for a half an hour, something like that. And then at the end said it was not successful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yay.
Yeah.
So I ran it again. And by the time we finished, I'm like, let's just do this tomorrow because it's going to be too late. And I got up this morning and had to research and learn a little bit about what my problem was. Coming to find out, I did not need to do a revert.
Yep. Because
I figured out what the software did an update and it changed something in my settings. And so I didn't need to do a revert.
Right.
And so they were trying to tell me as a roadblock.
Yeah.
This wasn't successful.
Right.
But I was being persistent in my own way. I'm going to figure this out in my own way.
Yeah.
And then today I said, okay, don't get mad. When the same message came up when I turned the computer on, don't get mad. Just read a little.
Yeah.
You know, go in and start looking at some things and read. And it was like the things that I've learned over the past several years of doing this. It helps.
Yeah.
It's that hindsight. It's like, oh, yeah, remember that. Okay, cool. We got to hit that button and we're good to go. So, and I thought about it afterwards, even though I reran the revert thing. I thought about telling you I didn't say it, but I thought, it said it wasn't successful and I probably should have let that go.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to do it anyways.
Yeah. But that's a good way of showing this too, is that a lot of times if you do something once, you think, okay, I'm going to try it again.
Right.
And if it doesn't succeed the second time, a lot of time at this point, I'll just stop. But if you get to a third time and it really doesn't succeed, that's not for you.
Yes.
Or that's not the way it's supposed to go. But also in this, and this is a great segue into talking about next week's episode. There were a couple of other reasons why we didn't record yesterday. And I always know this. If, there's problems, I don't argue with it because I know there's messages I haven't received yet.
Yeah.
So there's something really big that's happening.
Really, really, really big.
in my life in particular. Of course, everything affects my family. But I had mentioned a few weeks ago that I was doing some shadow work. And the shadow work is in relation to a family secret. And I was told this morning in the shower that I need to start sharing this story because things are going to start developing for it. I don't really have time to get into it today, so maybe we'll just start next week's episode with talking about it.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm putting this out there now is so that you guys know that when I'm coming to you with this, it's not the conclusion. I didn't want there to be so much progress in this story, and then I want it to evolve.
Right.
But I just couldn't talk about this till now. It's a lot. So, I just want you to know that things are probably going to develop over the next week because I want people to see how this works.
That's cool.
And that I'm having faith in the things that I've been told and the way I'm supposed to go. And that we'll see where it goes. But
it's exciting. Yeah. It is. I mean, it's nerve-wracking a little too, but it's exciting.
Yeah. Life on the spiritual journey... On the spiritual journey, they will throw things at you when you're ready for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know that you are ready for things, and then you're thrown something and you're like, okay, I can do this. And I'm much stronger than I used to be, and so I feel like I can do this now. So we'll get into it more next week. But There's a cliffhanger, because next week is about everything happens for a reason. And that's why I'm supposed to tell this before, because I'm trusting that this story is going to go somewhere and everything's going to happen for a reason. So,
I agree.
So next week.
Great.
Yeah.
We look forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Well, good job.
Yay. I love those topics, and I'm glad we got to talk about them a little bit more. And I hope that cleared up, the loose ends, tied up the loose ends.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, if people have any other further questions, maybe something we didn't answer clear enough, or other questions,
yes,
shoot them over.
Please do. I love them.
Cool. Well, before we say goodbye to all our friends, would you like to share your information?
Yes. So you can find me on the web, SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. Or if you'd like to join my free reading group, you can find that free pet and psychic medium readings by Samantha Jones on Facebook.
Very cool.
Yay. And you can email us, spiritualjoneses@gmail.com.
That too.
Don't want to forget that.
And
then, you, sir.
Oh, for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram and Facebook. And for the music, I know I shared a little bit about an audition that we had coming up, right?
Yeah, you mentioned it last week.
We had that audition with a young man by the name of David. Was very good.
Yay.
It was incredible.
Sounds good.
And for the first time, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings me back to what we were talking about today. And that was just like, when you realize that you're doing something, for me, doing art is individual. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have to share a lot of input for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But when you're doing something like a band, you have to deal with other personalities and inputs and opinions.
Sure.
And I have to say that it's been relatively smooth.
That's good.
You feel like when you believe they've put you on a path for a reason. Yeah. And you really believe it wholeheartedly. They're making it relatively easy. Yeah. For all the changes over the 8 years.
Yeah, they
have made it pretty easy. Like somebody's standing there waiting in line.
Yep.
Next.
You just got to believe. You just got to have faith. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was just brought me to that conclusion and epiphany.
Yay.
That's all for me.
Great.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this.
That we do.
And we hope that everybody has a great week.
That we do.
And until next week.
Peace and love.